A rustling crackling resonated beside him. Caleb tried to take no notice of it. All he wanted to do was have a nice, peaceful rest, to get away from the roughs and skags for a while, to get some air. He always chose this alleyway for that very reason. It was usually quiet and relaxing. The alleyway had tall, steel-framed walls on all three sides, and the closest residential sector was at least a kilometer away. There was something about its older architectural style that made him feel at ease. There was something safe and clean about it. The shiny, silvery wall to the north would gleam in the sunlight, and he would stare at it from the shade of the south. He'd sit there watching the changing line of shadow as it slowly stretched its way upward. It was alive to him. It had some creaturely quality that gave him comfort, like there was something out there watching over him. He was also sure that he was the only one who noticed it. It wasn't there when Caleb Martinex got there, the rustling, crackling. It was deadly still until he sat down. Then, as if he knew he was there, the noise intensified. Caleb tried to keep his eyes set on the north wall, but it was no good. The sound pulled gently at his mind, distracting him. It wouldn't let him relax. The shadow was beginning its creep up the south wall, and he desperately tried to focus in on it. He tried to shut down the buzz around him, but it just became more intense. The noise slowly morphed into a dark, undulating whir and hum. This haunting sound made Caleb tear his eyes from the wall. Not only could he not concentrate, but he also felt it drawing him toward it. It was then that the rustling, crackling morphed again. He now knew why it wouldn't let him go. Bits and pieces of digitized words could be heard through the distortion. It was communicating something. A flicking hologram of a man shot up next to him, mouthing staccato words within the splices of the comm. He wore the uniform of a British soldier during the Battle of Waterloo. Caleb recognized the uniform from history tech pages. Despite the fuzz, he could just about make him out. His wiry, snow-white mustache twisted around his gaping, tooth-filled mouth, and his wild, staring eyes burned with serious angst. His spit-shined boots looked as if they had never been used, and the gold buttons on his tight-fitting red uniform gleamed brightly, though not a single ray of sunlight touched them. The whole thing brought a cheeky grin to Caleb's lips. All was not lost, he thought. Martinex tuned in. This comm was clearly coming to him on some kind of cheap Connex. He figured it was someone lost on their first time on a VR jaunt, and they were just stepping out to get some directions. But why here? And why him? There was only one way to find out. He drew himself up and looked at the image face to face. For some reason, Caleb thought good old-fashioned eye contact would help refine the comm link. It was then he noticed the VRT wasn't even looking at him. It was as though he were staring at something beyond him, in the direction of the wall, at the dead end of the street. Martinex hadn't remembered anything being there, but he still peered cautiously over his shoulder. Just as he had thought. Nothing. So somehow, this VRT had crossed over, but still doesn't know he had. The poor bastard's obviously trapped on one of those link bridges. I've heard that this happens, but I've actually never seen it. Poor bastard. He must have bought one of those cheap black market VRs. Big promises with big kickbacks. Now look at him. Poor bastard. Hope it was worth saving a couple of bucks. There was no response. The soldier just stared on past him. He was half in and half out. There was nothing he could do from this end. The VRT was locked. The only hope was that he had someone at home monitoring him. The skags that had sold him this jaunt might stick around to watch him squirm, but there was no way they'd pull him out. That was their diz. Caleb stared at the man. It was hard not to turn away. The VRT's face was awash with anxiety. His eyes darted frantically, lost in the chaos of the bad tech. His hands moved around as if searching for a way out. Clearly he was desperate. As much as Caleb really wanted this time to disconnect, he knew he couldn't ignore him or simply leave him in the hands of others. Both may prove fatal. He quickly tapped the link to the service on his Palm Comdevic. "Yeah, what you want, Martin X?" answered a tired, gruff voice. "Hey, Gardner, we got any spirits listed?" Caleb inquired, then added, "I mean, payroll spooks, not freelance." "What do you need a spirit for?" "'Cause I got myself a real creep. What do you think?" "Yeah, no shit." The irony was clear. Gardner was always on his case. Caleb wasn't really sure why. Perhaps it was Caleb's quick promotion or his popularity with the chief. Who knows? Whatever it was, Charles Gardner always milked it for what it's worth. Caleb really didn't need this hassle. "I'd patch in myself, but you know the department's got a tight line on it. Can you give me the list or what?" My, you're a touchy all of a sudden." "Route me into the database, will you?" "You got it, boss. Routing now." A list of email addresses and web directories came up on the screen. "And don't say I've never done you any favors, huh?" injected Gardner. With that, he terminated the transmission from his end. Caleb scanned the database. Every spirit was categorized by their experience online, their links, and the number of times they've hacked without detection. Naturally, cops had their favorite. Caleb's was some spirit named AMUX26. He or she always seemed to have the right comm links in a matter of milliseconds. Sound bites say that a AMAX 26 liked spooking both sides, getting data for anybody, anywhere, anytime if the price was right. But that didn't bother Caleb Martinex. AMUX 26 was on payroll, and as far as he was concerned, that made AMUX 26's services totally legit. Placing his earpiece inside his ear, Caleb highlighted and clicked on AMUX 26's comlink. The scrambled, pixel-faced image came up on the LCD. Service-protected identity. Out of the jumbled visual came a mixed, low voice, much like a slow-playing retro disc. "Martin X, what can I do for you?" "Hiya, AMUX 26. Got a simple one for you this time. It's a creep, but for some reason he locked on a link bridge. Can you help him off?" "Another lost traveler, huh?" "Yeah, must be some frozen Brit freak. You seen any finger tapping on Napoleonic War VR sites?" "Not my usual territory, but I'll peek in after we defrost this VRT." "Thanks. Here are the coordinates." Caleb keys in his location. "Got it." Within minutes, the flicking figure of the red-suited man vanished as if he had never been there.